And I know Chandler loves to think of himself as a young Steve Irwin. So let's think and hope that one of your fans doesn't follow in your footsteps too hard and end up in a wheelchair for the rest of their lives. Are you right? How about Clint? Are you telling everyone they shouldn't trust Clint? He's so trustworthy. Because I got a feeling there might be some people that might not like this video very much.
Well, here we go again. What seemed to start it out as a bitter man in his 50s, upsetty spaghetti that he did not get befriended by another man has now turned into what I can only imagine is an all-out war between these two people. Yes, I am of course talking about the war from the Florida man himself, Chandler's Wildlife, and the New England boys, that being Kevin Mccurry and the VTuber himself, Donny Rapture. Which has always just seemed a little weird to me now. Like, did we bully this man so hard off the internet that he will only show his face in animated form? There's a lot to dissect into this one. Of course, the main bulk of this entree is going to be the video here itself, which, I mean, number 2? Alrighty then. However, there are some subcategories I don't think is being talked about yet, and we are going to get into those as well. With that, I decided to break this video up into 3 different categories. Number 1 is going to be what is happening before this video was released. I think it gives a little bit of a better context to kind of get the backstory of what's going on before the inevitable release of this, content. Number 2 is going to be the content itself. I will be dissecting the video, giving my opinion on it, a little bit of a reaction as content, and then number 3 will be answering some of the comment sections in there. I know Nerd's not going to do it. They get all huffy-puffy when someone says something they don't like, and Kevin like rages in the comments section about them. But I'll answer some misinformation because these guys, well, we'll get into that a little bit later. I only allotted myself 24 hours to get this video out. It is Monday at the time of recording, and Tuesday this video will be produced, so I will be having to listen to this.
I got a feeling there might be some people that might not like this video very much.
For literally the next 24 hours while I edit this video, so if you could like the video right now, man, that would, that'd be great. I'm not looking forward to this. I don't know what it is about his voice, man. Oh. Let's get into it with part 1, the context leading up to this video. This section, I'm kind of just going to be wrapping everything up in a nutshell and just giving it to you at face value. We're not going to be going into the details of FWC, USARK until later on in the video, so this is just pretty much the context itself, just not with much detail into it. So to sum everything up in a nutshell, Kevin Mccurry posted what USARK Florida posted about a private email that was sent to them talking about the invasive species and seeing what they can consider invasive and what they should ban. This picture on his Instagram page with the caption and the context that they are trying to ban every single reptile on that list, that everything will be gone, and they are trying to take away our pets, so we need to go support USARK right now. I then saw this post, shared it to his main story with some unpleasant captions for those of you that are really big into USARK. He started talking bad about USARK and saying also good stuff about FWC, which I'm sure is shocking to a lot of people, as it was shocking at first to me. Escalated this lonely 50-year-old man to not just be seeking the friendship of this other dude, which is still a little bit weird to me, but however, it has escalated to an all-out war. Kevin is not only hurt that this man wouldn't befriend him, he is upset that he'd go against him in this. A Florida keeper not liking Florida USARK's laws or whatever? He's upsetty spaghetti. They have been bashing heads ever since, and that brings us to, yet again, another slander piece by Nerd. Words that I never thought would come out of my mouth until later 2021, where this has kind of been the main content of New England Reptile. Before we get into the next topic and start going into the video, I do want to mention Kevin Mccurry's live stream he did recently. Unfortunately, live streams aren't archived, and I was so baffled by what was said in this, I didn't even think to screen record it. So I guess you can take this as hearsay. There's like 70 people. I'm sure some of you were there and you can back this up, but there was some crazy shit talk. It was fucking wild. It was just trash talk for an hour and a half, telling him he's a stupid kid, ignorant, misinformed, man-child. I'm paraphrasing all of this. These aren't exact quotes. There was this weird part where he starts talking about how Chandler and him need to sign a document to like relinquish them from pressing charges on each other and then fight each other. And I really do believe there would be no better place to do that than Animal Con USA, which is there now. Brian Barczyk, I will buy a ticket. I will buy the VIP ticket to Animal Con USA if you host a boxing match between these two. Check, if you want to leave Animal Con USA from the start with the goddamn bang, a goddamn nuclear explosion, Animal Con will be cemented as a legend for hosting this boxing event, my guy. And I get it, Kevin. You do Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, fuck, I don't know. You do something, but when we really look at the facts here, Kevin Mccurry, Chandler's Wildlife. I think in a wheelchair Chandler can take you, I'm gonna be straight up. Maybe we will never know, maybe we will. I thought that was an absolute ridiculous thing to say by a man in his 50s that hosts such a professional business and what is once known as the pillar of the community, to now being like, I'm gonna fight this YouTuber, I wanna beat him up. 2022 is just fucking wild in reptile YouTube, man. 3-4 years ago, watching Kevin's socialization of monitors, really getting in depth in the education on how to handle the body language of these animals, to now, Chandler bad, he's not Steve Irwin, vote Kevin, is such a weird twist of events that I would have never seen coming in a million years. And well, you're kind of caught up. It wasn't much to say. It seems like a little bit of a stupid thing to make an entire YouTube video about, but it's not the first stupid thing they've done to make a video about it, and then they just say usark's good and I guess like it's kosher with everyone. I don't know. But let's get into topic number 2, and that's going to be the dumpster fire that is this video once again. Topic right here is a lot more controversial in my opinion than the last one. I actually think this video did a lot worse than the one before. Where the one before, it's a little bit of opinionated based. I mean, the fact of the matter is Chandler doesn't live feed. It was such a weird thing to put his face. It was an obvious view grab. We can all see that. People said because there's live feeding in it, for some reason that makes Chandler a bad, it didn't make much sense. This one, however, they're kind of just blatantly lying about Chandler in a lot of things. A lot of things can stem from an opinionated basis, not a fact basis. They twist some things around to make it like, just kind of do him dirty, right? And it's weird. It's very TMZ-esque type stuff, which again, coming from like me would be cool because I'm a trash person, but like coming from New England Reptile, it's such a weird thing to see unfolding. And I know a lot of people are also having the same opinion of like, dude, what are you doing? What happened to New England Reptile? But let's get into it.
I got a feeling there might be some people that might not like this video very much.
There's just something about it, man. There's just... oh my god. Oh my god.
Shot out of the cannon, high energy, drinking beers with his friends. Even though some would say it's incredibly irresponsible for someone in Chandler's position to be drinking in his YouTube videos, considering he works with...
Right off the gate, this seems to be just a wicked weak start for various reasons. Number one, bashing a man in his late 20s, at least I think he's in his late 20s, he's probably somewhere around my age. Having an alcoholic beverage, one alcoholic beverage, and then like the connotations they put around it is like he chugged this. I don't know why they opted it out, but now I'm afraid and I'm gonna opt it out too. The point of the matter is they think that he did this and then immediately went to the croc, where they even put in their intro that was the night before. The man had one beer a night before the big thing. It's a big event. Probably people are I'd be super stoked about it. I want to celebrate a little bit. I don't really understand like why you're like bashing him for it. It's such a weird thing to do. I don't know, man. Now it just makes me think that whenever New England Reptile gets like a really cool animal the next day, their whole night is spent doing something like this. I must retain complete mental stability and physical form for the animal I'm about to get in. Whatever, man, you do you, but just make sure you don't cheat and get the cheese on that pizza before you get that cool croc.
And I know Chandler loves to think of himself as a young Steve Irwin. So let's think about something here for a second. Did Steve Irwin ever drink in his videos? Absolutely not, because he knew more than anyone in the world that he has kids watching him, and it would destroy his credibility. So after...
I don't really understand. Not only is this just, it's such a weak argument into a concept that is just so shallow and honestly just not needed whatsoever. it's also pretty wrong because, in my opinion, if we're talking about every reptile YouTuber out here right now, I would think Chandler's Wildlife is the closest thing you would get to a Steve Irwin. I'm not saying he is Steve Irwin. I think it's weird that so many people tried to make a new Steve Irwin, but if we're talking about the personality, ideology, and so on, he's pretty damn close. The bottom line, a dude enjoying a beverage legally during the night before celebrating a big day is something really weird to drag him down about. To this day, I don't understand why. So, a big FYI to the reptile community that idolizes Steve Irwin so much. Steve Irwin did not like the private hobby. He did not like animals being kept in the private home without any affiliation. He believed animals belonged in the wild or in accredited zoos, AZAs. So the man you love so much doesn't like what you're doing. And now we see Chandler also believes that these animals are a privilege, not a right for us to own, which is pretty in content with what Steve's ideology is. So I don't know. Chandler's Wildlife is the new Steve Irwin, I guess. Why are we talking about it? I also don't know.
With a catastrophic injury to your leg that inevitably led you to being in a wheelchair, and you're acting like you're above using a pump. We can only hope that one of your fans doesn't follow in your footsteps too hard and end up in a wheelchair for the rest of their lives. Okay.
I'm unsure if this is a hot take or not, or a controversial area to dive into, but I am of the belief that these videos actually do help with that sort of stuff instead of hinder. We can also clump in when Tyler got bit by his, or not his, but Tom Crutchfield's King Cobra and lost his finger. Everyone talks about, you know, free handling, people are gonna idolize that and do it themselves. Well, I believe stuff like handling big crocodiles and handling venomous snakes, when you show the aftermath of what can happen if you do this, doesn't that act like a deterrent for them not to do it? Doesn't it show that these risks do have consequences and you can mess up and get a major bodily injury because of it, because of the work that you do? Is that not really a thing? Like, okay, let me put it in this context, right? Is a kid gonna see Chandler's Wildlife get mauled by a crocodile and be in a wheelchair for weeks to months and be like, yeah, I'm gonna do that now? Is that really the sense you're getting, Donny Rapture, that kids are gonna do?
Next. Let's wrap it, let's get this rock out. No, you need to come up. We'll get it, bro. Everyone freaks out and tells him he needs to go to the hospital. Now the following
Wildlife literally gets mauled in the leg by a crocodile and says, nah, let me still go back in and get the croc. If that is not the most Giga Chad shit you have ever seen in your life, I don't know what is. Skip through most of the beginning stuff because honestly, it's petty, it's really not needed. It seems to just be like fluff and filler to make jabs at Chandler because Nerd doesn't like Chandler. So it's just, I don't know, do I really need to make commentary about it?
in all that time being indoors in that wheelchair, I think it's making him a little crazy. Because Chandler just openly admitted he was anti-usark, and he took several swings at the pet industry.
Can we stop gaslighting the reptile community? I see some of these influencers and whatnot, these poor people are so stressed right now because they're believing everything that everyone's saying, and they think their animals are going to be taken away, when they're not. They're not. Like, come on, guys. It's gaslighting to get money from people, and it's gaslighting to get us to attack the government. Most of the stuff isn't even licensed, and that's why we have invasive species, because any schmuck can go into a reptile shop, can buy 100 veiled chameleons, or buy it from an importer or whatever, and then let it go because it's not regulated. So now we have contagious, now we have pythons, we have boas, we have rainbow boas, we have all kinds of down here. It's real. Mccurry's, I remember watching him say that they're saying rock pythons are in the Everglades. That's ridiculous. There's no rock pythons. Dude, you don't even live in Florida. I got buddies who catch them on nests, catching, like, they end up getting like 80 individuals. They get the eggs, they get the mom, they get everything. We have rock pythons, Burmese pythons. We have so much invasive stuff. If it's already here, it's gonna get banned. If you don't want green tree pythons and other animals like that to not get banned, you can tell your buddies, you can tell your friends. You overhear something at a local reptile shop, somebody saying something stupid about starting a population, stop that shit. Talk to the owner, tell him, yo, that guy's gonna go release.
What the hell are you saying?
Alright, now we start getting into some of the good stuff. We start talking about FWC and the USARK, and Chandler being against USARK and for FWC. Now, your boy over here has done hours upon hours of research, actually looking at the legislation and the website of FWC instead of just looking at the cliff notes from USARK. So I'm going to save a lot of this stuff for the end part instead of mixing it in between every 5 minutes. I kind of want to clump it into maybe even its own section. What I want to make in this part is there are actual valid criticisms that Chandler is stating and valid points he's making. I know everyone loves to say the thing like tegus were an invasive thing because of a hurricane hit this facility and got them all out, and a lot of reptile keepers seem to have that mindset that that is the sole reason why these invasive species are the way they are, because of one incident with a hurricane. I find it very hard to believe, especially knowing how neglectful the general population is with their animals. There are a lot of importers in Florida, right? You cannot tell me those people were seeing some of these animals looking in sickly conditions and tossing them over the backyard of this fence. I've heard so many stories, it's all hearsay though, so I don't know, take it what you will. We'll never know what caused this invasive issue. It could be the hurricane, it could be solely people dumping, it could be a mixture of both, but the fact that so many people are like, the reptile hobby loves to brush off the invasive issue of like, well, a hurricane happened, so it is what it is. I don't think that's the full story, and I don't think that is how 100% all these animals became populated inside of Florida. You can't tell me that people don't throw away animals anymore and throw them outside. I live in the New England area where it is a definite death sentence to these animals. They cannot thrive in this weather, yet even this month in my local reptile pages, people have found a sulcata tortoise that was just left on the road. They found a bearded dragon, a ball python, a leopard gecko, another turtle species, which I don't remember because I don't really keep that much track of turtles. Alone, 5 species of animals were just thrown outside to places where it is a clear death sentence. Those animals are not going to survive the year. Now, imagine what those numbers are going to look like when you're talking about a place where they can be invasive, like Florida, where they can thrive in temperatures like that.
These clowns should I trust? We can trust Snake Discovery, right? How about Clint? Are you telling everyone they shouldn't trust Clint? He's so trustworthy! This is one of 2 times I've ever seen Chandler get political. Deleted the video, or he made it private. Don't worry guys, I archived everything, and Chandler's message will not be lost.
We want you guys to know that we're trying to speak out. We're trying to collectively get everyone together to speak up. Speak to your Senate. Donate to USARK. We're trying to get everyone together to show how big this community is, that it's really affecting a lot of people. A lot of people's personal lives will be destroyed, their homes, everything.
Chandler was totally behind USARK when he was afraid that the Americas Competes Act would make it illegal.
We'll get into this part a little bit later once they make their second point into the video. Donny just happened to archive. Does he like archive everything Chandler does? Who else are you archiving, Donny? That's my boy Chandler is living rent-free in New England Reptiles' head 24/7. Holy shit. I would love to see the fucking terabyte of storage Donny Rapture has on every Chandler's YouTube video that's ever survived.
Back on. So what made him change his tune? Why did he delete his video clearly supporting USARK? It was most likely because after reaching out to USARK for help in a legal battle, they had to decline. Chandler wanted USARK to fight and pay for his personal legal battles with the city regarding his zoo's zoning ordinance, which is not what USARK does, so they couldn't help him, and Chandler took that very personally. Oh, and yes, Chandler did not want to use his own money, he wanted to get USARK to fit the bill. He became anti-USARK the day he didn't get what he wanted. Instead, he started simping for the FWC.
If you are truly concerned about something with FWC, you just go on their website and you read what they're up to. If you have permits and you deal with FWC, they email you every time there's a meeting coming up, every time there's a workshop. We are all on the same page. There are no secrets.
To me is a part that is really interesting and something that I think Donny Rapture really didn't get too much into to show what the ideology of Chandler and why he feels the way he did. So I really want to dive into what this really is. Now, when it comes to the USARK situation, that is not the story I heard. The story I heard was asking for a recommendation for a lawyer to fight this and what to do about it. USARK then basically, and I'm paraphrasing this, told them that you're fucked and you should basically move to another property and then get a wildlife rehabber license and just pretend you don't have snakes. Which is a really fucking weird thing for USARK to do. However, just like Donny Rapture didn't show proof for any of his stuff talked about, I don't really want to divulge and show screenshots of the stuff I have. So, I don't know, I guess take both at face value. Maybe my story happened, maybe his story happened, maybe none of them happened. You don't know, which is a good area to realize not everything you're hearing on the internet is actually true. Some people like to twist information to make it seem like their case is better. Well, now picture this. usark has abandoned you. They basically told you to get fucked, they can't do anything about it. You are worried, you're scared. The public wants to revoke your zoning rights, and your zoning, whatever the zoning thing is. I don't know too much about property zones and everything like that. The public wants you to get rid of your animals. You got this property, the public doesn't want you in over here, and you gotta get rid of them. They want you to get revoked your permit. However, FWC stands by you. They don't take away your permit, and they stand with you and allow you to reapply and keep that permit. Myself, I've never had to deal with this situation. I can imagine how scary and infuriating and annoying, just a mix of emotions you would have if you were placed in this situation. Now, imagine the company that everybody reps, usark, the godsend for reptile keepers to keep your rights, fight for your rights. They abandon you. They don't help you out in anything with this situation, but the government entity that everyone hates so much and is the villain stands by you. Wouldn't that make you rethink what you've been thinking this whole time? Yeah, I don't think Chandler's Wildlife is kissing the ass of FWC in order to keep his permits. I think FWC and Chandler have a mutual relationship and they stand by each other, and FWC actually might like Chandler. They kind of have a symbiotic relationship going. You know how like Kevin always says we need to work with our fish and game and things of that nature, but not FWC, I guess. I don't know, what hypocritical statement is that number for nerd?
Here's a list of species that were never established in the state of Florida that have been banned. Reticulated pythons, yellow and green anacondas, flying foxes, mongoose, raccoon dogs, southern rock pythons, and there are more. I just am too lazy.
It cracks me up because Donny has like, there's so much like oomph with his voice. Like, you are so misinformed, Chandler. This is a list of species that are illegal to own in Florida but aren't invasive in there. And then the dude lists flying fox and raccoon dog, which is both federally illegal animals to own in the United States. So like, you can't own them in Florida because you can't own them in America. That's why they're not invasive. I think the only thing that would be better for that if like he starts listing like extinct species that aren't invasive in Florida. You absolute fool! Don't you know you can't own velociraptors, Tyrannosaurus rex, and pterodactyls, but you don't see any of those in Florida? Checkmate! Danny Tablet here, and we'll just go through some of these bad boys. Some of them are funny, some of them I actually have some response to. R&B Reptiles replies, how does someone that puts out DIY home reptile surgery videos and says vets don't know anything have the audacity to say other people are damaging to the reptile industry? Nerd puts out the same clickbait garbage. Oh. Okay, well now I'm trying to find the stuff I saw earlier, but now I see this. Keep deleting comments, Donny. It's a damn shame you have a vendetta against people in the industry. Well, shit. Let's see if I can still find some that I wanted to talk about. I'm just reading through most of these. I can't find the ones I was looking for. There's a lot of hate, man. I mean, they gotta be growing off of this in some capacity to keep making them, but like, holy shit, man. I mean, there's like 1,000 comments, and I probably, for every good comment, I'd say there's like 7 out of 10 that are, not in their favor. Some of my favorite ones at the end of the day was like Chandler could never be Steve Irwin because he's manic and reckless and controversial, which is like, I don't think you guys remember Steve Irwin, who was jumping on gators, handling, you know, almost getting bit every goddamn episode by something, or the giant controversy where Steve Irwin fed a crocodile with his child like this. And then, like, everyone hated him for it. He went on talk shows and talked about how awful it was being canceled, basically, well, I guess the epitome of what cancellation would be back then. And all the hate that he got from it. Does no one remember any of that stuff? People are saying also Chandler is super egotistical and just, like, above it all, which, honestly, I don't feel is true at all. I know a bunch of people at this point are like, Dakota, you're such a Chandler fanboy, blah, blah, blah. But, like, I'm not. I'm a 27-year-old man. I don't idolize YouTube creators. Being completely honest here, I didn't watch much of Chandler. I don't watch most of reptile content. It's what I do for a living. I don't want to watch it in my free time. However, after the nerd video I made, the first one about a month ago, Chandler did reach out to me, and I've had only but pleasant conversations with him, and he replies and talks to me. I don't know, nicely. Like, a month later, we still chit-chat and shoot the shit. It's not like... I don't know, man. He seems he's a down-to-earth, cool dude. Like, everyone says they're so, like, egotistical and just above it all and all that shit, but I'm like, I'm just some guy. Dude, less than 20,000 subs, and this dude's taking the time out of his day to chat with me. So, I don't know, like, I feel like that counts for something? On, like, the other hand, we have Donny Rapture, who just straight up ignores all of my DMs. That's what happened before the nerd video, when I was all still just some guy. Just straight up didn't want anything to do with me. But Chandler, like, talks to me, so I don't know. Who has the ego? I think at the end of the day, all of this stuff is just super trivial and really has no need to be in the public's eye. These guys obviously have a beef with each other, they don't like each other, yet for some reason Nerd feels like they're going to make multiple videos on them, but then cloud it around something else to make it seem like it's literally not just an attack piece, when, if you check your comment section, Nerd, we all know it's just a fucking attack piece. Alrighty folks, so wrapping this video up, I've come to realize that this is going to be way longer video than I first anticipated, and I don't think it will work very well as an hour-long presentation, so I think I'm going to split this up into two parts. This one was more of going to be a little bit of a more goofy, whimsical type video, and the next one's going to go more across FGBC, USARK, and what's really going on with that, and really what sparked this beef with Kevin and Chandler. So that's the video. I'm not going to edit for this long and make this long content and still have it out on Tuesday. So half the video will be out on Tuesday, and the other section will be out on Thursday. It's out a little bit better. This one's a little bit funny, poking fun at Donny as always, and the other one's going to be a little bit more of a serious topic going into the USARK FWC debate and everything that goes on with that. Closing statements for this video are going to be, number one, Donny Rapture, you did not make a video on me, so now the world knows that you do in fact have small PP.
By the way, Donny Rapture, if you don't make a response video to me just because I'm a smaller creator, that means you have the smallest PP ever. You don't have the balls to go against me and make an expose piece. New England reptile trying to come after DBCV exotics? They don't have the gut.
My second one is going to be this comment, which I thought was really funny, that there's this massive beef and they're going to be both going to Animal Con, which leads me to my next presentation. This beef is in full swing and Kevin fully intends to make a boxing match to fight Chandler's Wildlife. However, Chandler's Wildlife being incapacitated due to his leg, I volunteer as tribute to be Chandler's champion to face off against Kevin Mccurry and Donny Rapture. While Kevin Mccurry and Donny Rapture have been attacking the Florida boys, little did anyone ever know, I too was born in Florida. And I'll tell you right now, you New England yuppies, you don't want nothing of this. Let that be a warning. Alrighty, boys and girls, let me know in the comment section, is this the stupidest shit you've seen in 2022? Because by God, this all just feels like a massive waste of time. Well, boys and girls, I will see you on Thursday. Until then, goodbye.